welcome to Daily Rates Live with the Mortgage Calculator. We're going to go through some live rates here this morning, and then we're going to do a deep dive into ITIN loans. Great topic here for today. We had previously talked about foreign nationals. Now we're going to talk about ITIN borrowers. Two completely different things. Sometimes people get them mixed up, but we'll clear that up here today. Give us just a moment here to go live on all the different platforms. We got the chat up on the screen there. Feel free to drop a comment in the chat as you tune in. Hope everybody's been having a great week so far. And it looks like we're live on all the different platforms, so we'll go ahead and get started. We will take the chat off the screen for now, but go ahead and keep dropping comments in there and drop any questions you have in the chat as well as we go through here today. All right, so welcome everyone. My name is Kyle Hershey. I'm the COO of the Mortgage Calculator, joined here by our president, Nick Hershey, and our sales manager, Jose Gonzalez. We are a lender that specializes in non-QM loans. And what we do every weekday on this show at 11 a.m. Eastern is go through our actual live mortgage rates, and then we do a deep dive into a different topic. And today's loan topic is going to be ITIN borrowers. So as I said, definitely some confusion around, ITIN and foreign national. We cleared up foreign national already, and today we'll clear up ITIN borrower loans. So Jose will get into that here shortly, but before that, we'll do what we do every morning, which is check out the live rates. So Nick, if you're ready, let's go ahead and pull up those rates and see what they're looking like.
All right, it's just refreshing the rates over here. We will show all of the programs for today. It is June 18th, just after 11 a.m. So all the programs are live. We will set up the same scenario so we can compare across the programs, the same exact setup. So we'll set up a $500,000 purchase price, a $400,000 loan amount that corresponds to 80% loan to value, 20% down payment. We'll set an estimated 760 credit score and an estimated 40% debt to income ratio for all of the estimates here. And it's also going to be using a standard single family home, nothing fancy there, and nothing fancy on the citizenship, regular U.S. citizens. Jose is going to talk about the ITIN options here shortly. So this will show us the rates for today and the APR. If you'd like a full breakdown of all the itemized fees that go into the APR, please get with our team members. We have over 300 loan officers that can definitely help you out. Let me go ahead and share my screen here. And we'll look at the rates today. So comparing across the programs, the first option we typically want to look at is our 30-year conventional option for primary home, typically the most common loan when people talk about mortgages. Rates as low as 6.5 today, final APR 6.813, just a touch higher than yesterday, not much change. Hopefully we see the downward movement start here in the next cycle. Now, if any reason our customer doesn't qualify for conventional, we also may want to quote an FHA option. FHA does allow more leniency on credit issues, as well as a higher debt to income ratio. However, it does have a monthly and upfront mortgage insurance that is required. Today, FHA comes in at 5.75 rate, final APR 6.711 with all of the fees included. So notice it's a touch cheaper than conventional if you compare them side by side here. So our customer that qualifies for both may want to consider FHA, but it does, again, require that mortgage insurance. So definitely need to consider that. And moving on to VA for our eligible vets and active service members. If you are eligible, these programs are amazing. Rates as low as 5.99 today. Final APR 6.289. And notice it beats FHA and conventional options substantially there. Definitely a great benefit for our vets and active service members. And the final government program here, USDA. USDA programs are only eligible for USDA areas, rural areas of the country typically. So if our customer in the property is eligible, it's a great option. Rates as low as 5.5%, final APR 6.230, including all of the fees. So notice if our customer's shopping in one of these areas and comparing to an FHA, USDA is a touch cheaper, definitely cheaper than conventional as well. So if you're looking in those areas, definitely a good option. Now, if our customer doesn't qualify for any of these standard agency or government options, most other banks or lenders will have to deny that customer, but that's where we start dipping into our 5,000 alternative programs. First up, 30-year fixed non-QM alt doc for a primary home. So if our customer doesn't qualify typically for a standard conventional and may need to use alternative docs such as bank statements, 1099, P&L statements, all kinds of options that we have. they can switch to this program. So for an alt doc, typically a bank statement or similar, rates as low as 6.99 today. Final APR is 7.322. So notice we're within a half a point of conventional here. If our customer unfortunately doesn't qualify for a standard program, we can typically get them into one of these options, and it is very comparable rates. Now moving on to our investors. Again, tons of flexibility with investment properties. First up, our non-QM alt doc for an investment property. Again, bank statement or similar will come in at 7.375 rate. Final APR 7.867. And we'll compare that to our other investment options. Remember, there are no government options, so no USDA, FHA, or VA, but we do have our 30-year fixed conventional option for investment property. Rates as low as 7.375 today. Final APR 7.726. So that's a touch cheaper than the alt docs. But again, if our customer needs to use alt doc, great option. But we have our favorite program up next for investment properties only. No income, no employment required. So no income docs needed. We simply use the estimated rent from the appraisal to determine a DSCR value. The estimated rents can cover the expenses, aka the property cash flows. That's a ratio of 1 or higher. I used a ratio of 1.5 for all these demos so we could see all of the programs. First up here is our 3-year prepayment penalty option, which is the standard option for these programs. Rates come in at 7.125 today. Final APR 7.445. Notice that's beating conventional. Absolutely amazing for a DSCR option to beat conventional. And some of our programs even allow a 5-year prepayment penalty, which sweetens the deal. Rates as low as 6.75. Final APR 7.072 with a 5-year prepayment penalty, which beats conventional substantially. And our final row here, we do have a DSCR option with no prepayment penalty. Some states do not allow a prepayment penalty, and some investors don't want it. No problem. Just a little bit more expensive here. Rates as low as 7.625. Final APR 7.986. So notice that's a touch higher than the conventional option. So definitely recommend our investors check out the prepay options, or if they need to use this one, it is still just a touch higher than conventional. Most investors prefer DSCR. And our final 2 options that show up here, new products, very popular these days, 30-year fixed second mortgage for a primary home. A lot of homeowners have a low rate first mortgage. They don't want to get cash out on their first mortgage and change their first mortgage. No problem. We can get a second mortgage, which is fixed, not a HELOC, a little bit different, a little better rates here, 8.75 rate, final APR 9.204 for customers to get cash out of their primary home, and pretty substantial loan limits there as well compared to HELOCs. And same option, also we can do non-QM such as bank statements since this is a non-QM program. And same option for our investors, 30-year fixed second mortgage for investors, rates as low as 9.875, final APR 10.2 for our investors to get cash out of investment properties without touching the first mortgage. And again, these are non-QM programs. Both of these allow bank statement and similar options. So those are our basic options here. And with all of these, again, we have the same scenario. But let's go ahead and get into our topic for today, where Jose can dive into the examples we can't do in our quick pricing demo. One of them being citizenship type, right? So ITIN borrower, different than a foreign national we did yesterday, different than US citizen that we can do on the live pricer. So definitely a niche product that we have. A lot of products are eligible. And Jose is going to talk about the difference between foreign nationals, citizens, ITINs, and technically there's 2 different ways to be an ITIN, but Jose will get into this here. So if you're ready, Jose, let's check out these real life examples.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us for Daily Mortgage Rates Live with the Mortgage Calculator. Yes, yesterday we did our foreign national daily rates, and then we like to follow that up with the ITIN so that we can talk about the similarities and the differences. Now, the only similarity between the two is that neither has permanent legal status to reside in the U.S. But that is where the similarities end, because the ITIN is working full-time in the U.S., either through their own business, be self-employed or 1099 worker, or however else they may be employed. They also need to have U.S.-based credit, and they also need to be living permanently in the U.S. All of those are totally the opposite of the foreign national, who does not need U.S. credit, cannot be living permanently in the U.S., and no U.S.-based income or employment would ever be considered for the foreign national loan borrower. So the ITIN technically are considered a non-permanent resident alien for purposes of structuring your file, but note that they are not a non-permanent alien in the regular sense of the word, because a non-permanent resident alien is a borrower who's going to be able to borrow the same as a permanent resident alien or U.S. national, in that a non-permanent resident alien is a borrower who is here in the United States working legally through some type of a work authorization document, be it their EAD card or be it some type of a visa like a B2 or B1, E1 or E2 visa. Whereas the non-permanent resident alien, they're going to have, the non-permanent resident alien could also have an H-1B1 visa, which is the one for specialized workers here in the U.S., like tech workers. So with that being said, let's share all of the examples that we have today for ITIN. ITIN is definitely one of the hot sectors of lending right now, along with DSCR, bank statements, and non-QM in general is really, as we like to say, blowing up. So our first option here is for the max LTV of 85% for a primary purchase. Now, this is a non-QM loan, so as always, no mortgage insurance is ever applicable for this non-QM ITIN borrower option. 8.999 is our lowest cost option at a cost of 1.25 points. And you can buy that down to 8.375 at a cost of 2.375 points for our primary purchase full doc ITIN borrower. Now, this full doc borrower is probably going to be self-employed, just due to the nature of how an ITIN borrower, due to the nature of their documentation, it would be difficult for an ITIN borrower to be a W-2 employee, because that would require them to have a social security number so that the withholdings could be properly addressed. So now we go to our bank statement primary purchase, still 85%, pretty amazing for our ITIN bank statement purchase, 8.999 at a cost of 1.4 points, and you can buy that down to 8.499 at a cost of 2.275 points for our primary purchase using bank statements, 85% LTV for our ITIN borrower. So now we have our P&L. Now we're really going to tweak it here using all these guidelines. Profit and loss, primary purchase, 80% is the maximum LTV for this option. Rates do go up a little bit. We're looking at, but the cost goes down. So we're looking at 9.375 at a cost of 0 par rate. And you can buy that down to 8.25% at a cost of 2.4 points for our primary purchase by an ITIN borrower using profit and loss reports. And now we have our 1099. So this is for our workers, still considered a self-employed borrower here. 1099 is an amazing program that will allow up to 90% of the 1099 amount to be used as the income. 9.375 at par, and you can buy that down to 8.25%. 1099 primary purchase. And now let's talk about investment properties. We love investment properties here at the Mortgage Calculator. Our first option here, full doc investment, 80% LTV for the ITIN. Notice this is the same maximum LTV that you would get for a conventional full doc for a U.S. citizen or permanent resident or non-permanent resident alien. So lets you know that this is a pretty good rate with a super deep rate sheet. 9.25 is the lowest cost option, costing 0.5 point. And in this very deep rate sheet, you can buy that down all the way to 7.49% at a cost of 3.375 points. And our bank statement option for ITIN. I mean, it's amazing how 6-8 months ago, we could barely find a bank statement option for an ITIN at 75% investment. Now here we're at 80% investment. for this ITIN. It's 9.49 is our lowest cost option at a cost of 7.775 points. Buy that down all the way to 7.75% at a cost of 3.275 points. That's a lot of 75s there. And our P&L investment still 80% for this ITIN investment purchase using profit and loss, 9.49, lowest cost option at 1.525 points, and 8.125 is your lowest rate option. And I know this is what you were waiting for. So look at what I found. I found an ITIN DSCR investment purchase option at 80% LTV. Yes, we do have your best options here at the mortgage calculator. And look at this, 10.125 is at par. And you can buy this down to 8.5%. And note, this is with a 3-year. All these options I've given on the investment properties are with a 3-year prepay. So with a 5-year prepay, you can have possibly better pricing. So again, DSCR, investment purchase, ITIN, 80%. I'm going to show it to you again, 10.125 all the way down to 8.5. Not too shabby. So now our last 3 options here are some cash out options. Showing you here a primary 1099 option. You can still go to 80% on all of your primary cash out options on ITIN using all different doc types that would be applicable. Here I chose 1099, which would be one of the more costly version options along with P&L, and it's 10.999 is par, and you can buy that down all the way to 9.249 for your 1099 primary cash out refinance. And our ITIN bank statement option, now LTV does drop to 75% for this option. Still pretty amazing. You're looking at 8.499, lowest cost option at 1.4 points. And you can buy that down to 7.625 at a cost of 3.4 points. And last but not least, like to save the best for last, we even have a DSCR cash out for ITINs at a 70% max LTV. So note that whereas our 75 is our max for most scenarios, for our regular borrowers, we can go to 70 here for our ITIN, which is amazing. 7.999 is our lowest cost option at 1.4 points. That's even more amazing. And you can buy that down to 7.125 at a cost of 3.275 points for our ITIN DSCR cash out up to a 70% LTV. So we have quite a bit of options here at the mortgage calculator for ITIN borrowers. There's a couple more I didn't show you because time didn't permit, but all those options that were available as purchases are also available as cash out. The few I didn't show you. So look forward to helping you structure all your ITIN loans and any other loan you may have here at the mortgage calculator, where one of our team of loan consultants could help you reach your objective.
All right. Thank you, Jose. Surprisingly, I don't see any questions. I guess you did a good job at explaining it here. So we'll go ahead and wrap it up, but definitely big difference there between Foreign National and ITIN. And it was a great week here to show the differences. So appreciate everybody tuning in. Remember, we do this at 11 a.m. Eastern every weekday where we go through the live rates and then do a deep dive into a different loan topic. So we will be back tomorrow with a new topic. We appreciate everybody tuning in. We will see you tomorrow, 11 a.m. Eastern for the next episode of Daily Rates Live.